Hello, my name is Gabriela Colin, and this is my presentation on the legalization of marijuana and substance abuse. So, some background information. California was actually the sixth state to pass the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, more commonly known as Proposition 64, in November of 2016. The first state to actually do it was Colorado in 2012, and the latest is Minnesota in 2023. There are 24 states that have legalized recreational marijuana. However, it is still illegal at the federal level. Um, while I was researching this, I did stumble across an article from the University of Colorado Boulder, um, which stated that residents of states where recreational cannabis has been legalized use marijuana 24% more frequently than those living in states where it remains illegal. That's just a quick, small piece of information I feel points me towards where I'm going with this. So, my claim is the legalization of recreational marijuana at the state level would result in an increase of substance abuse for young adults. So, if recreational marijuana is legalized, substance abuse would increase. So, my peer reviewed journal article that I chose is titled Recreational Cannabis Legalization Alters Associations Among Cannabis Use, Perception of Risk, and Cannabis Use Disorder Treatment for Adolescents and Young Adults. Below are the three authors. Um, this study conducted state level data from 28 to 2019 from the National Survey of Drug Use and Health, as well as the treatment episode data set slash admissions. Um, one is nationally representative survey of health behaviors and outcomes, and the other one is an administrative data set which compromises annual substance use disorder treatment admissions to both public and private health centers that are um, in the US that receive public funding. So, the first point, legalization reduces the perception of cannabis as harmful. So, because it's such easy access, people may think it's not that bad, when really frequent cannabis use does have negative health um, outcomes. So, if you look here, the dashed line represents states where recreational cannabis is not legalized, and the solid line represents states where recreational cannabis is legalized. Now, while the dash line is declining, so is the solid line. Furthermore, the solid line has a lower starting point as well as a lower end point. Um, so what that basically means is people in people in states where cannabis is not legalized know more about the risks that come with frequent cannabis use than the people who live in states where it is legalized. Once again, it's such easy access, so many people do it, they think nothing bad happens. But from frequent cannabis use, people can experience psychosis, mood disorders, as well as impaired cognitive thinking. Back to the points. Prevalence of cannabis use after legalizations. So basically, more frequent use of cannabis. Um, Cannabis use disorder, CUD or CUD, is a condition marked by an inability to reduce or stop cannabis use even when it is causing harm. So, because of legalization, risk factors for CUD are increased while CUD treatment administrations decrease. So, these kind of go hand in hand together. Um, People begin to use cannabis more frequently, they could develop CUD, and treatment admissions are going down while cannabis use is going up, right? So, if you look here, if you look at the first graph, you will notice that they are all increasing, but I want to focus more on the orange line, which represents states where recreational cannabis is legalized, you can see that it increased almost by 10%. While everything is increasing, let's take a look at the second graph, which represents treatment admissions for cannabis use disorder. Um, while cannabis regularity increases, CUD treatment admissions continue to decrease. Compared to all other age groups, young adults actually have the highest rate of CUD, and they are one of them. They are more likely to develop CUD when using cannabis as an adolescent. 20% of adolescents actually go on to develop CUD in their first 4 years of cannabis use. So it is actually pretty impactful, and can affect someone's uh, life. So arguments in opposition. One, potential therapeutic usage. I understand that one. Number two, social justice concerns regarding criminalization of cannabis use. Number three, legalization of recreational marijuana allows government to regulate sales and reduce the risk of illicit markets. And four, legalization provides significant economic benefits through taxation and job creation. While I agree with the first point regarding potential therapeutic uses, I mainly disagree with the rest. First off, even with the legalization and regulations of recreational cannabis, there are still errors in the social justice system regarding criminalization. Um, a clear or obvious one would be the fact that black people are almost 4 times more likely than white people to get arrested for cannabis possession, even if it is a small quantity and within the regulations. Um, regarding illicit markets, there is still a gray area where legalized states, like, for example, California cannabis products, are sold in states where it is not legalized yet. Let's take into consideration burner distributors, which are people that purchase the cannabis products with state cultivation taxes, but not the required state excess taxes. And they go on to sell these products in the illicit markets with prices that licensed or legal dispensaries cannot compete with. Um, and although California, or next point, although California benefits largely or heavily economically, the job creation might not be as great as one thinks. Yes, in 2020, the cannabis market actually brought in $1.1 billion to the state of California. I also read that in Colorado, it brought $2 million to the state of Colorado. So yes, it is a large market, but dispensaries along with smoke shops have heavily displaced small businesses. Um, whether it's because they just weren't able to keep up with the gentrification, or they were simply bought out by these dispensaries. But like I said, many small businesses have been displaced. So, yes, you can talk about job creation, but you can also bring up the displacement of these small businesses and those small business owners who were affected by this. So, fallacies in my topic, I'll begin with slippery slope. Um, Slippery slope fallacies occurs when the action will lead to significant consequences. So if marijuana is legalized, it can lead to substance abuse or potentially the legalization of other drugs. This fallacy relies on potential future outcomes. Next would be appeal to fear. The fallacy uses fear to persuade others to accept a conclusion. If we legalize marijuana, young adults will develop a codependency. People say you can't get addicted to marijuana, but you can develop a codependency on it. Um, and then we will be faced with an epidemic ep- of substance abuse, which affects people's lives pretty heavily. appeal to tradition. This basically, if something has been done for a amount of time, it should continue to be that way. So if marijuana has always been illegal to protect the youth, the adolescents, young adults, it should be kept that way, because if it is legalized, we will face problems that we haven't had to deal with before. So the conclusion: the legalization of marijuana at the state level will increase the prevalence use among young adults. It will decrease the CUD treatment utilization among these same cannabis users, as well as downplay the harm that comes from cannabis use. Um, I feel as though truthfully advertising and commercializing cannabis to the consumers could properly educate people on legalized cannabis, and help them get a better perception of the risks that come from frequent cannabis use. It's not just about um, easy accessibility, or, all that. It does come with risk, and if you do abuse it, there will be consequences. Um, Properly educating them could also increase CUD treatment and admissions. If people know what is going on, they might be more likely to go out on their own and get assistance in whatever it is they need. So that is it for my presentation on the legalization of marijuana and substance abuse. Thank you for watching.